Okay, here we go. Hi, this is Jim.
From and paid for by
Habiba's family.
a detainee at Dilly Immigration Processing Center. This call is subject to recording and monitoring. Press 1 or star to accept the call. To deny this call, press 2. Thank you for using Cellmate.
Hello.
Hi, this is Jim.
Hi, this is Habiba's family.
Hi, this is Hayam.
No, this is Habiba.
Oh, this is Habiba. Hi, how are you?
Yes.
It's Jim. Thank you for calling.
Yes, thank you for taking the time to success.
Yes, no, I appreciate it very much. I guess if you can just tell me, how are you doing right now?
You know, it's a very hard and awful situation here. It's like basically giving a prison sentence for the little kids. This place, like, technically broke something in us. Something that I don't know if we ever will be able to fix. We're not the same people who came here in June 2025. We've had to fight for basic things like food and clothes, like things that we had access to all the time.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah, go ahead.
I always wanted. So go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and am I talking with, I just want to make sure because it's hard to tell over a speakerphone. Am I talking with the mother or one of the kids? Are you the 18-year-old kid or the mom?
I'm the 18-year-old.
You're the 18-year-old. You sound very grown up for an 18-year-old, if you don't mind me saying.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. And what has it been like for tell us how many of you are there right now? It's the whole family? It's you and your siblings?
It's all of us with my mother, but I've been separated from them almost like 4 weeks ago, so it's like a month. After I started talking to the media and like releasing statements, that's when I got moved, because they claimed that they had to move me because I turned 18, but it's not true because I turned 18 almost in June.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're 18 years old, you're in Dilly,
Mm-hmm.
and what is life like in there?
It is very difficult. It's hard. We have to fight for all basic things. You know, they claim that this place is great. We have like this amazing medical care and this like nutritious, balanced meals, and the staff treat us great. It's all a lie. It's all not true at all. We can ask anybody here what is their opinion in this place. It's awful. It's just the way the officers treat us like we're not humans anymore. You're a resident, so you're not a human. The way medical care, a lot of people like have been neglected medically and had to like suffer a long time before actually getting the appropriate treatment. The way the food is mostly just processed food. You can bear eating like hot dogs for twice a month, but when you have to eat it twice a week, every week, along with other processed foods like I guess fried chicken, it just becomes very hard and very hurtful for the health of the kids and the health of the adults.
Yeah.
So it's just like difficult everywhere you see.
Yeah. And is it correct that the other day you found a fingernail in your food? Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah, that is correct. I found it in the fruit treats. And other friends have also found worms and more, and specifically the broccoli, the vegetable.
Worms.
Yes.
Worms in
Not
the
sure how
food.
many friends, but yes. So a lot of people just stopped eating the vegetable. It's already bad enough, and now to find also mold and the worms in it is like a lot of people just stopped eating that.
Wow. And you have younger siblings.
Yes.
What is it like for the little kids?
It's awful. They literally cry every night. The little 5-year-old just wakes up every night, cries for 2 hours for no reason, saying that she has like bad dreams of someone that's chasing her with like latest clothes, so she can't get out. The 9-year-old says that she like basically hates her life because all her friends are being released, and she's not. She just like wonders when it's gonna be their time or like our time to get released. The 5-year-old boy, he was great. He was potty trained. He was perfect before coming here, and now he works his bread and himself literally almost every night. The 16-year-old is like in depression now, specifically also because everybody are getting released and except us. So it's very hard. Their kids are behind in their development, in their education, and it's heartbreaking to see them suffer while they did literally nothing wrong.
Wow, that is so sad, and it must be hard being the big sister.
Yeah, it's very hard. I see them suffer and I see them struggling along with also other people, and I can't help. I'm completely helpless. Yeah,
and I mean, what are the staff people like? The guards? Does it feel like you're in jail? Does it feel like you're in prison?
Yes, definitely. I've always wanted to believe that like people are good and people are nice, but now I just literally cannot understand why is it that hard to be nice? Why is it that hard to treat us like humans? Like we're families, we're kids, we're not like in an actual real jail, and none of us have criminal convictions. Only 10% of the people here, the officers and the staff here, treat us like humans. The others just believe you're residents, you're not a human anymore.
And what are they telling you about your case and how long you might be stuck there? I mean, I don't understand how you can be there for weeks and weeks and weeks. How long has it been altogether for all of you?
Well, it's 9 months technically.
9 months.
At the end of February, we're exactly 9 months.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So they claim it's like a visa overstay, but it's not true because every single family with exactly the same situation like us have been released for, and they didn't even say like 2 months. But with us, I guess it's more than just a visa overstay. But they're not telling us anything. They claim they have an investigation since June 2025, since like it's I guess going on for 9 months. Not a singular evidence has been brought against us. Nothing. We have tons of evidence proving our innocence. We have 2 different judges' decisions in different times saying that we didn't know anything about the incident, we didn't participate in any way. FBI transcript saying that we didn't know anything after almost 21 hours of investigation. We have federal judge saying that the government's actions against us are illegal and heinous, and all of that is not enough. I don't even know what humanly possible or anything more we could have done to just prove to them that we need to get out and that we should be released. They just keep on throwing these false accusations, and we are being held for indefinite periods of time. We don't even know when are we getting out, if we're getting out.
Wow. And I guess does any of this have to do with your father's case, that you're being treated in this way? I know that, that you have nothing to do with your father and what he did, but are you being punished because of what he did, do you think? Or is this just how they treat everybody there?
No, definitely we're being punished for that. We are the only people, the only family that has stayed here for 9 months.
You're the only family that's been there 9 months.
Yes, it's very obvious. It's just because we happen to be his family. There's no other possible explanation for it, for why every other family, almost some 20 days or others 3 months, would get released and we weren't. It's unbelievable. And I understand what he did is awful. What he did is unbelievable. What my father did goes against every single thing that I and my family believe in. My heart goes out to all the victims and their family. Nobody should ever experience what they went through. But why are they punishing 6 more people? They destroyed our lives for 9 months. We could never have that back. And they're still punishing us for just because we happen to be his family. Regardless of all the things that say we didn't know, it didn't happen anyway, we're not related to that incident in any way possible, they still keep accusing us, and they still keep trying to fight to keep us here for as long as they can. I literally don't understand why, other than they just hate us because we happen to be his family.
Yeah. And what have you witnessed in terms of what the other kids there are going through? Not your siblings, but just the other children there in general. I mean, it seems to me that there must be, I know that Liam Ramos, his story was in the news. He was there. There's a 2-month-old Juan who was in the news. He was there. You must have seen other kids going through some really hard things too.
Yes, definitely. Everybody's suffering here. Everybody, especially the kids. It is not a place to keep kids, especially for indefinite periods of time. They're struggling everywhere. They're behind their development. They're behind in everything. Like the officers here don't care about the kids at all. Well, they don't care about anyone except themselves, but specifically the kids. It's just more of like, don't run, don't play, don't do this, don't do that. It's like, I guess almost they don't want them to be children anymore. They don't care about their feelings. They don't care about their mental health. Nothing. They know that the kids here like wish to eat bananas or chocolates or like little basic things like any other kid, and they would stand in the middle of them with all the kids around them and eat lollipops and candy like adults and candy.
The guards will eat well. The guards will eat stuff that's good right in front of the kids.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. No one like watching their eyes. The kids' eyes will be like staring at them, their broken eyes, begging for some, knowing that they can't get any. So why would they do this to them? Why? They know they can't get any. They know they're in a difficult situation, and some of them have been here for months, others weeks. But still, it's very hard for them. So why would they do that? Absolutely no reason.
Yeah.
And the officers just in general treat everyone bad, including the kids. They will just literally like bark in the room while everybody's asleep with their radios on full volume, and instead of just checking if like they do like a census kind of thing, and instead of just checking if we are in the room or like the kids are in the room, some will wake us up on purpose. And you could imagine how hard it is to put back like the babies to sleep. It's very difficult. They also just turn off the lights. So we have like in the room we have like 2 rows of lights. One that is like few inches away from the bed, and the other is like a little bit further away. So during the night, we are allowed to turn off the light that is right on top of the bed, but not the other light. So the room is so bright.
So you can't even sleep. How do you sleep?
Yeah. You literally can't. It's like our minds are exploding. We just wish that we can turn off the lights for a couple of seconds just so that our brains can have a break. So anyway, while everybody's asleep, they will just come in, turn off the lights that is like inches away from the top bed, and just sleep. You're asleep, you're not asleep, doesn't matter. They don't care if the kids are like sick or anything, and they just need to sleep for a little bit. So please close the lights. Nothing. No, absolutely no consideration for anything.
Wow. And what would be your message to the people who are at Department of Homeland Security who are allowing this to happen?
I just hope that they stop this from happening. Like, nobody should ever be detained for indefinite periods of time. Everybody deserves to live freely and just have a chance at a normal life. And with us specifically, please, if you don't have any evidence, just release us. Until you have evidence, which I'm sure they won't have any. We have tons of evidence. They're just choosing to overlook all of this and keep going with their accusations. So if they can't prove anything and they can't find any evidence, why are they still keeping us here? Why are they keeping other kids for indefinite periods of time? Some kids here have been, well, now they got released, thanks God, but they have been here for 5 months and others for 4 months. So there's nothing on earth that would justify detaining kids and detaining families for months.
And it's pregnant women, right? It's mothers with young children.
Yes, it's all types of people. It's all types of humans. Like, I don't understand how is it allowed to treat them like that. Some of the pregnant women who had her pregnancy, she was 8 months. She was like barely able to walk, and still she was being detained. So it's just very difficult to see people struggling around you. Everyone's struggling in different ways. The kids crying, just wanting to get out and be connected and have a normal life with their families, sleep in their own beds, go to their own school, they meet their friends, and not able to do that.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you calling me so much, and I'm so sorry for what you're going through. And just please keep us posted. You have my number now, and feel free to call us and let us know what's happening. But my heart goes out to you guys. I'm very, very sorry. It's just not right that they have kids there in prison. It just seems to me like this is not who we should be. This is not what we should be doing in this country.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I could literally give you tons of examples of how the medical treatments, how different people have been neglected medically, and how a lot of incidents that happens in this place that shows you how cruel the officers could be. It's just very, very difficult to see everything that's happening here and then hear them claiming that they have a good place to detain kids.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for calling me, and please hang in there. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you.
Hey everybody, it's Jim Acosta. Thank you for joining us here on the Jim Acosta Show. We wanted to open up the show with that very powerful interview with Habiba. She is an 18-year-old detainee at the Dilly Detention Center. She's being held along with her 4 siblings, who are all younger than she is, and her mother. 2 of her siblings are twin 5-year-olds, and they're all inside the Dilly Detention Center. They've been there for 9 months. Ever since their father was arrested, and we should be very clear, her father was arrested 9 months ago, about 9 weeks after he was arrested for and charged with a fire bombing case. He threw Molotov cocktails allegedly at some people who were protesting over what was happening in Gaza. And he was brought into custody. He was detained at that point, and so were his kids. His kids were brought to, and his wife, they were all brought to the Dilly Detention Center here in Texas. And ever since then, these kids have been locked up behind bars. And for folks who might be wondering, well, if this person was charged with this horrific act, that's the way it goes with these kids. Keep in mind, according to published reports, the FBI has said during this process that the family had no knowledge of what their father was doing. And so they are suffering at this point. They're going through hell because, in part, yes, because of the actions of their father, but also because of the actions of ICE. I spoke with their attorney. Was the attorney who was on the show yesterday, and he said that they were all applying for asylum in this country when this happened. They had overstayed their visas, and they were applying for asylum when this happened. And then when their father did this, they were taken into custody by ICE. Their asylum claim went away, and now they've been in basically indefinite detention. But you heard what Habiba was saying during the course of that interview. It's not just she and her siblings who are suffering there inside this facility. It's all of the kids who are being held inside Dilly. She talked about the conditions where the food was obviously not suitable for children to be eating. She talked about how she found a dirty fingernail and some food that she had one night. She also mentioned that there were worms in some of the food that was served to some of the other kids there at Dilly, and that they can't even sleep at night because they don't turn all of the lights off. I mean, these are the conditions that these children are going through, including children, as we were talking about yesterday, we've been talking about for weeks now, 5-year-olds, 2-month-old, you name it. Little kids are being subjected to these conditions. Now, you may be asking where we are right now. We're in San Antonio, just up the road from Dilly, Texas, and I'm standing in front of a proposed ICE warehouse, another detention facility that has been bought by the Department of Homeland Security. They're going to try to set this up for more immigrant detainees. And this is, we've been out here for a better part of the afternoon. This is a sprawling warehouse, hundreds of thousands of square feet, potentially to hold thousands of detainees, despite the fact that local officials, local politicians, local lawmakers, they don't want this here. It's just like what you see in communities across the country. People don't want these kinds of detention facilities in their community. One of those politicians, one of those lawmakers who is trying to keep this facility from opening is Congressman Greg Casar of Texas, Democrat. I had a chance to talk with him about all of this earlier in the day. He has toured some of these kinds of detention facilities, and he said this is no place for families. This is not a place for children, and he doesn't want this warehouse opening up as a detention center behind him. Here's some of what Congressman Casar told me earlier today. Take a look.
And joining us now is Congressman Greg Casar, the Democrat of Texas. Congressman, thanks so much for joining us again.
Thank you so much for having me. It's good to see you, Jim.
Yeah, great to see you too. Really appreciate you doing this. And you know, we're trying to do this special focus on these detention centers that the administration is going to be opening up all around the country. It doesn't seem like it's something that can be stopped at this point.
Angle a little bit. Yeah. Cool.
And I'm just curious, I know you have been to some of these facilities. What are those experiences like when you go inside?
Look, when you go into these detention centers, especially those that house families and kids, it becomes very clear that these are basically prisons for the folks that you think should never be in a prison. Places like Dilly, the folks that run Dilly will tell you that there are not criminals in Dilly. These are just basically warehouses where they put families that are just like yours and mine. Everyone should read the ProPublica piece that came out today about how they're taking crayons and writing materials away from kids right now, in part because they don't want you seeing notes like the one that's on the screen right now from 6-year-olds saying they want to go home, from the 7-year-old who's missing their stuffed animals and wants to get out of this prison. And if you just imagine that it's your kid, my kid, it's so clear that it's just unacceptable for so much of our taxpayer money being used to lock up these families in deplorable conditions rather than keep us safe or make life more affordable for everyday people.
Yeah. And Congressman, I mean, we went out there, we went to Dilly and tried to, go up to the front door, knock on the door and say, hey, can we talk to you guys about this? We barely got onto the property. They freaked out. The private security there, because it's a private for-profit prison, they threatened to call the cops on us. I just want to play a little bit of that video and get your reaction to it, because I was stunned as to how paranoid they seem to be of outsiders coming in and looking at what they're doing.
That's the only reason I'm here talking to y'all. Just the report that they made with us, they just called us and told us about it. And I got dispatched out here.
And did we violate any ordinances or laws or anything? Or?
So with them, it's a whole different thing because it's private property. You can't be in there unless permitted.
Okay.
That's the only thing. So
because it's a private prison.
Yeah. So like, let's say if they felt threatened or anything at any point, right? Yeah. And they want to do trespassing, they could do criminal trespass because it is a private property.
Gotcha.
Right now they're not gonna do anything.
Yeah.
They don't want to do anything because they said y'all did leave. They said other people. They have had other people just keep going and drive past them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we saw the car and we just saw it looked like that they were trying to tow that thing in the back.
Yeah. So, I mean, Congressman, they just don't want outsiders looking in. Apparently, members of Congress have had a real tough time getting in there. They basically have to go through a court or a judge or something to get access to the facility. But there's just something that doesn't add up to me. Private, for-profit prison that warehouses children. It just doesn't
let anybody in.
Yeah.
Why? And you got to ask yourself, well, why? Well, because they know that the American public would not stand for it, for billions of our dollars to be spent buying up warehouses that are then turned into prisons for families and kids. Look, most of the people watching probably have seen the photos of Liam Ramos, might know his name, the kid from Minneapolis with the Spider-Man backpack and the blue hat. But remember that there are hundreds and hundreds more kids whose names we don't know, whose photos we haven't seen, that are just like him. And so you've got guys in camo with big guns stopping journalists or members of Congress not because they're trying to keep anybody safe, but because they don't want you to learn the names or see the faces of the hundreds and hundreds more Liam Ramoses. Just in the first year of the Trump administration, they locked up 4,000 kids. 4,000 kids. And so I think this all starts to fall apart on them once people begin to see the truth. And that's why they blocked you from going in. I, as a member of Congress, under federal law, it's very clear under federal law, am allowed to enter these facilities, whether they're private or public.
Yeah.
but they still lock us out, and we have to sue and then sue again to try to get in. In fact, in Texas, they didn't let me into a detention center, and there were people's lawyers who were trying to get in, and they were locking the door on people's lawyers who had appointments with their clients on the inside because they didn't want the door open for me to be able to get in. So eventually I had to leave so that they wouldn't let people's lawyers in. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that you see in the sci-fi movies about like a post-apocalyptic place. This is the kind of stuff that we imagine about some other country, but this is happening right now here in our country. And they're trying to do it more, spending billions of our dollars buying more facilities to build more of these. And then there's a corruption angle to it too, Jim, which
Right.
is sometimes they're going and buying these warehouses in this land for way more than it's worth. And it doesn't take a genius to realize that in the near future, there's going to be exposés about how a bunch of that money just then got run right back into Trump's campaign machine. And so they're making money. Private companies are making money, and Republican campaigns are getting money off of warehousing kids. I mean,
Yeah.
it's sick, and it's all built on a lie that Trump said he was going to try to keep people safe, but locking up hundreds of Liams and then taking their crayons away isn't making anyone safe. It's just, it's really just something that should break all of our hearts.
Yeah. And Congressman, as I understand it, the money has already been appropriated through the so-called Big Beautiful Bill, which obviously is not the best name for it, and that these facilities are on their way to communities, perhaps near the people who are watching this program right now. And there may be circumstances that allow, this municipality or that city or that town or that state to block a facility from opening up in their community. But it sounds like they're not going to be able to stop all of them. And so it seems to me we're going to see a lot more of this warehousing of little kids, families all around the country, not just Dilly.
And I'm not ready to say that they're going to get this all done, right? Just as you laid out. If you find out there's one coming to your community, I represent Austin and San Antonio, Texas. There is a big community organized push against a huge facility they're trying to build in East San Antonio. And when you find out about one of these, this is a great time when people say, what can I do? We don't have to wait till the next election to do something. You can call your city council member, your county commissioners. Make sure that you do everything you can to block the corrupt purchase of these facilities and their ultimate corrupt purpose. And then with election, when we take back the House, I'm really committed that if Democrats are able to take back the House, for us to say, all this extra money that is going to masked men that are shooting folks in broad daylight in their streets, or is going to warehousing kids, what if we take that money and as a House stand really strong if House Democrats take back the House and say, no, that money should go back to the American people, should go back to lowering the cost of your health care, lowering the cost of your housing, making sure you can afford a child care. Wouldn't that make us better off? And so I think that is part of what we need to run in this election cycle. But between here and then, there's a lot of local work we can do to block these facilities.
Yeah, I mean, we're taking a look at that one that you're mentioning in East San Antonio. They purchased a warehouse over there. It sounds as though they've purchased a warehouse over there, and they're trying to do the same thing there. Is that happening, or is it still you're hoping to fight it?
They've made the purchase, but that doesn't mean that they've gotten it done. As we know, lawlessness is like part of the DNA of this administration. And so I would not be surprised if they broke laws when they bought it, or how they try to build it, or how they try to run it. And so we've got to engage in a legal strategy. We've got to get the public organized around this, because under the first Trump administration, we were able to slow some of these projects down enough that they never were able to do real harm. And so that's what we're trying to do in San Antonio, and what we're trying to ask folks to do all across the country. Tougher to do in Texas because we don't have a friendly state government on this issue, but we've got great local elected officials on the ground that are committed to it. So if we can try to block something in Texas, then if you're watching at home from Michigan or Minnesota or California or wherever you are, you can fight there too.
Yeah. And, it all comes down to, is this who we want to be as a country? It seems to me, do we want to be a country where we're locking up thousands of little kids and pregnant mothers? And I mean, babies, in some instances, babies. At Dilly, there was a 2-month-old baby that had been detained and had to go to the hospital because he had respiratory distress, and then they deported the family. It's just sort of, to me, it's about who we are as a country. But there are some members of Congress who are unwilling or incapable or don't have the guts to go and see it for themselves and I guess stomach it. I issued a challenge to Ted Cruz. I don't understand why the senator from Texas doesn't go there. He's defended these tactics and these policies on social media, came after me and said, well, what do you want to do? Break up the families? We got to keep these families together. Isn't that what you want? And it's like, you don't need to do that. You don't need to keep families together behind bars. What kind of choice is that?
May I just say, come on, Ted, what we're asking for these families is the same thing that his immigrant family or my immigrant family got, which is a choice for a safe, legal, and orderly pathway to legal status for your family so your family can stay together. But so many of the families that are suffering this have been here 5, 10, 20 years, paying their taxes, doing their job. The only crime they've committed is trying to take care of their family just like you or me. But it's been the Congress that has refused to pass the kind of immigration reform that makes sure that we keep ourselves safe and that we don't tolerate violence or harm, and then actually let the vast majority of people have legal status. So it is to me, when you watch at something like the State of the Union, which I didn't go and attend this year because I knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
But to me, of course, it's very absurd to watch a guy who's made $4 billion off of the presidency come and lecture at the American people about how good they have it. But even more disturbing than that is all of the Republicans who just sit and stand like a cult. They're not. Look, this isn't all just happening because of Donald Trump. This is happening because you have hundreds of elected officials on the Republican side who aren't willing to question this, who aren't willing to raise their hands and say, they could be more conservative than me on some social issues, on immigration, but locking up hundreds of innocent kids in prisons where they get sick, and then when there's press attention on it, they get their crayons and stuffed animals taken away. I mean, what kind of world is this? And so I just think that of all of our collective effort as a society and all of our collective taxpayer dollars that form the government, we can do things that make our society better off, or we can buy the lines of a con man and say that our enemy are these kids. And I just don't think that I'm here in Texas where I've got lots of Republican friends much more conservative than me. When they voted for Donald Trump, they didn't vote for this. And we've got to go talk to all those folks and say, look, he has gotten way out of control.
Yeah, when you talk about the hypocrisy of Republican members of Congress, they're willing to haul in Hillary Clinton to talk to the Oversight Committee about what she knows about Jeffrey Epstein, which she has said not much of anything, but they won't bring in Donald Trump. They won't bring in people in the administration who have had connections to Jeffrey Epstein. Donald Trump was one of Epstein's best friends for years. How are they not bringing him in?
Look, I'm glad that the Clintons are sitting down for a deposition, but where is Howard Lucknick, who's in the cabinet, who was front and center in the Epstein files, and who's currently in power in one of the most powerful positions in American government? What about Donald Trump? What about Pam Bondi, who's the head law enforcement official in America, who has continued to cover up parts of the files and refused to release the files? So again, for the current Republican officials in the Congress, they think that this sort of shamelessness is their superpower. But at some point, I think the voters are going to say that they've gone just way too far. And right now here in Texas, we have early voting in our primaries happening, and there is just record levels of turnout. And so I think that there is a flicker of hope here, where even though the state of our union is heavily damaged by Donald Trump through his corruption, through his abuse at places like Dilly, remember that the state of our union can change. And I don't want us to give up hope that change is coming, because Donald Trump and Stephen Miller and those guys, they succeed in the dark. They succeed in the silence. They succeed when people don't hear about what's happening in Dilly. But if you go send to your friends, go text your friends right now this ProPublica piece about what is actually happening in these detention centers. And I promise you, those folks that maybe you sit down with your family at Thanksgiving dinner who you might disagree with, when they read that, I think change is going to come from the voters. I don't think we're going to be saved by the elected officials. I think the voters hearing the truth, a change can come.
Yeah, I think you're right. Well, Congressman Greg Casar, great to talk to you. Really appreciate it. And keep us posted on what happens with that San Antonio facility, because it seems to me, this is what's going to happen all around the country if folks don't try to put a stop to it, if they don't stand up and say, this is not right. This is not good. You can't do this. But thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks for covering this.
All right. You bet. Thank you.
Yeah, that's right. We're covering it. We're going to continue to cover it. And we're out here in front of this facility right now. This is the ICE facility. They just purchased it recently, a sprawling warehouse that should be used for food distribution and Amazon processing center, something like that, not for the warehousing of people. That's exactly what the Department of Homeland Security is trying to do. It's not just the federal government that's involved, though. One of the things that I hear from some of the viewers, subscribers, and so on is that, Jim, you need to do a lot of focus on Texas. Focus on talk about what's happening in Texas and Governor Greg Abbott there. Well, we're about to do that. According to State Representative Gina Hinojosa, she is a Democrat running for governor of Texas right now. She's one of the favored candidates in that Democratic field to take on Greg Abbott. She is putting a lot of the blame squarely on the governor, saying the governor has adopted policies that have basically cleared the way for ICE facilities like this, and especially the ICE facility down in Dilly, where, as we've been talking about over the last couple of days, is being used to warehouse and imprison little kids and even babies. I had a chance to catch up with Representative Hinojosa to talk about her and her campaign, and here's what she had to say.
Says hi, by the way.
Okay, great.
And joining us now is State Representative Gina Hinojosa, who is running for the Democratic nomination for governor of Texas. Representative, thank you so much for joining us.
I'm glad to be here, Jim.
Really appreciate it. And I have to tell you, I'm really blown away by what we witnessed when we were down at the Dilly Family Detention Center. I guess because it's a private, for-profit prison, they don't want anybody anywhere near it. So as soon as we drove onto the property, they chased us out of there. They told us they were going to call the sheriff's department on us, and then they did. And the deputy came over to us and warned us not to go onto the property. But what has been your experience tracking this issue of Dilly, and why? What would you want to do about it as governor?
Yeah, what's so infuriating about what is happening at Dilly is that we're locking up in Texas under Greg Abbott's leadership little kids with their parents. It happens in no other state in this country. And it happened after Greg Abbott received tens of thousands of dollars in campaign contributions from those private prison companies that you referenced. After that, he created a new kind of licensing to allow this to happen in Texas. Anywhere else, this would be prosecuted as child abuse. But that's the corrupt reality we're living in under Greg Abbott.
And so what would you do about it as governor? Would you try to, put Dilly out of business, close that place up?
Absolutely. I'm for border security, but what is happening at Dilly is not about keeping us safe. It's about attacking our American communities, our American families, all for private prison companies to make more and more in profits. And as a result, Texans and Americans really are very fearful about what ICE is doing in these detention centers that are popping up all over Texas.
Yeah. And they want to build them all around the country. I mean, we're seeing these battles play out in all these different communities. And we're in San Antonio, and they want to open one up in San Antonio, and they buy these warehouses. And for some reason, DHS thinks that if you just buy a warehouse, you can just put hundreds, if not thousands of people in these facilities. And in many cases, they don't do any of the legwork in terms of, is there adequate water supply or a sewage system in place? I mean, it's just, they just come in and want to take over what a municipality can do to handle all of this. Would you be able to stop some of these these other facilities from popping up? I guess that would be something you would try to stop.
Absolutely, we should try to stop it, because what we know is what is driving it are these private prison profits. Every single head, every single person, every single child that's locked up is making more in profits for these private prison companies. 100% of those profits are paid for by the taxpayer. But I want to speak to something else you mentioned at the beginning of this, and how there's just not transparency into what is happening. And what we have found just as of late as last week is that we know that ICE killed another American here in Texas about 11 months ago.
Right.
Ruben Ray Martinez. We just learned about this. It's unacceptable that the public didn't know that an American was killed at the hands of ICE about 11 months ago here in Texas.
I mean, it seems like the situation in Texas right now, because they've got Greg Abbott as governor, is that ICE can just run wild. They can just do whatever they want. They can lock children up in detention facilities. And he just goes along with all of it.
Well, and he knows the Texas Rangers who answered to Greg Abbott were doing an investigation into this, but no legislator, none of us knew about it. And the mother of Ruben Ray Martinez had been told herself, we just learned that this investigation would be completed in October, but no one has seen anything. I have submitted for the body cam footage from this incident because we know state police were there. As a legislator, I have that authority to have insight into these things. So we're waiting to hear back, but this lack of transparency, this cover up should be alarming to all Americans.
Wow. And as for Dilly, I mean, it just breaks your heart. We spoke with one of the detainees there. She's 18 years old. She has 4 siblings inside with her. I guess the youngest is 5. It's a set of twins, 5-year-old twins. And I just don't understand, somebody ought to be going over there and putting a padlock on that place and just letting all those kids out. You know what I mean? And just closing it down for it. It doesn't sound like America. It sounds like something out of a crazy dystopian movie or something.
It's inhumane. It's little kids locked up for months at a time. I mean, I can't even imagine the horrors that are happening in that detention center. It is unacceptable. And the fact that it's happening here in Texas as a Texan is very disturbing.
And can state lawmakers get access to these facilities, or is it mainly just members of Congress? It seems like they just don't want people going in there.
It's hard to gain access. We have not had access at this point, but it is something I know that some of my other colleagues are also looking into, getting some more information about what's happening. But I think all of us are just trying to do everything we can, even those who aren't elected, with the power that we have to stop what is happening in this country. I just heard recently, in fact, from our district attorney that he has child sex abuse cases that he can't prosecute, district attorney in Houston, Harris County, because people are either detained or deported, or they're too afraid to come forward, who are witnesses to these awful crimes, right? So what we are doing is not making anyone safer. It is inhumane, and it is a threat to our freedoms.
Yeah. And we should note that you're right now in the process of running for the Democratic nomination for governor of Texas, and that the election day is coming up, but that you hope to take on Greg Abbott. He's running for yet another term. I feel like he's been there a long time. They don't have term limits, I guess, on governor. You can just keep running and running forever.
The term limits will have to be the election by the people in 2026, because no, we do not have term limits. Greg Abbott has been in office for 12 years. He's trying to make it 16 years. It's entirely too long. And what we are seeing all over this state is that people are desperate for a change, and he just offers more of the same.
And what about, because it seems to me, a lot of folks have this perception of Texas that, well, it's just a bright red state. It's never going to vote for Democrats. They can't have a Democratic governor. They can't have a Democratic senator. Right now, you have a very competitive primary for United States Senate, in which you might have either one of those candidates might be a very strong contender to win a Senate seat. And I've been talking to folks on the ground in Texas, Texas Democrats who feel like, no, the governor's office is within reach, that people need to understand that this could happen.
It can. And what we are seeing all over this state is Democrats are winning where we haven't won in decades, sometimes ever. Our own poll shows that we are within a statistical tie against Greg Abbott, and that tracks all the polling. Public polling finds that he's the most unpopular person on the ballot in November. So yes, people know Greg Abbott. They want change. We're going to take full advantage, and we're running to win.
All right. Well, State Representative Gina Hinojosa, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Good luck in the campaign.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it.
Good to see you.
I appreciate both Greg Casar. I appreciate both Greg Casar and Gina Hinojosa for joining me on the show. It really makes a difference when you can talk with local lawmakers on the ground about what is happening here in Texas. And I wanted to come back out here live at the end here just to show you one more time what we're talking about. These are the kinds of facilities that the Department of Homeland Security, that Donald Trump wants to open up all around the country. He wants these in almost every community around the country. Look at the size of this thing. Look at the size of this warehouse. And just so everybody knows, we're on the public sidewalk here. The warehouse goes all the way back. It's like a few football fields back. 2 stories. God knows how many square feet. And they're talking about warehousing and imprisoning people in this facility. Maybe families, maybe children, who knows? In Texas, it seems anything goes when it comes to ICE. Anything goes when it comes to Greg Abbott and the treatment of immigrants and Latinos in the Lone Star State. He seems to be saying that ICE has carte blanche, that Donald Trump has carte blanche to do whatever they want when it comes to detaining migrants. And even in some cases, God knows, people who have legal status and maybe even citizenship in this state. And one thing we should mention, what the State Representative Hinojosa was mentioning just a few moments ago, there is an ICE killing that happened here 11 months ago of Ruben Ray Martinez that is not being prosecuted. This is the latest breaking news that came out today, that apparently a grand jury did not return an indictment against the ICE officer in that case. And so that is yet another case where somebody is killed, a U.S. citizen. Ruben Ray Martinez is a U.S. citizen, killed 11 months ago, shot to death by ICE. It was only uncovered recently, only came out in the news recently. And now it appears it's yet another case where nobody is going to be held accountable. And the question has to be asked, how is this happening in the United States of America? And how is this happening in the United States of America? Opening up these giant warehouses all over the country. They want to do it here in San Antonio, even though they have another facility less than an hour and a half away down in Dilly, Texas. And that is why earlier yesterday, I issued a challenge to Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz came after me last week, called me a hack, because I was raising questions about what the Department of Homeland Security is doing, locking up little kids. And I issued a challenge to Ted Cruz. Go in and inspect what's happening at Dilly, check out these facilities, see if they're suitable for families and children. Here's what I had to say to Ted Cruz. Let's play it. I challenged Ted Cruz, the senator from Texas. Cruz came after me the other day and said, what do you want, Jim? Don't you want the families to be together? Fuck you, Ted Cruz. You're a smart guy. You understand that kids don't need to be locked up. You understand that you're a father yourself. In what world is this normal? Where is your soul? I challenge him to come to this facility. Come to Dilly. Go behind the scenes. Go behind these walls. Go behind this barbed wire where they hold little children, and go see it for yourself. If you're man enough to do it, you'll do it, Ted. But of course, that remains an open question. Go inside and see this for yourself. They won't let me in here. Yeah, they won't let me. They won't let yours truly into Dilly. Maybe they'll let Ted Cruz, if he has the guts, to go and inspect and investigate that facility. And why is it that it's just the Democratic lawmakers in this state who are getting access into these facilities and conducting inspection? Where are the Republicans? How are they that trapped in the cult of Donald Trump that they can't even do a little bit of oversight as lawmakers representing the state of Texas? The other thing I have to say before we go, and I say this as a Latino, I've been spending the last couple of days in San Antonio. This is a town, this is a great city that I've been to many, many times. There is not a moment when I've been on the ground here that I did not see a Latino person in San Antonio. And so the question for Donald Trump, the question for Stephen Miller, the question for Ted Cruz, the question for all the Republicans who believe in this stuff, Tom Homan, people who believe in this stuff, locking up people. How do you sort out the Latino people who are citizens? How do you sort them out from the people who are non-citizens? How do you sort out the people who have legal status from the people who don't have legal status? How do you sort out the people who are on visa overstays versus the people who have perfectly fine visas? Are we going to get in a situation in this country where we're just pulling people over who are Latinos? Is that what we're going to do all across this country, everywhere you go? I mean, it seems like that's the path that Stephen Miller and Donald Trump have taken us down. If that's the case, people like myself, Latinos in this country, who are we? Are we still citizens of this country? The people who are citizens of this country, are we still citizens of this country? You know that Donald Trump wants to take away birthright citizenship. I was born in Virginia, but you know, do people who are born in this country get subjected to this? People who are citizens because they look Latino or sound Latino or have a Latino Hispanic last name? Is that what we're going to become in this country? And we're just going to start throwing people into giant warehouses like this? And maybe ICE will sort it out later. The Department of Homeland Security will sort it out later. Oh, okay, well, I guess they showed us their papers. I guess they can go now and have their freedom back. This doesn't make any sense. It's policy. It's an evil policy. It's not just ugly. It's not just inhumane. It's evil. Stephen Miller, it's evil to lock up little kids. It's evil to lock up little babies. It's not who we should be as a country. It's what you've made America into. There's no question about it. It's what you have turned America into. But it's not who we should be as a country. I want to thank Congressman Greg Casar for joining me. I want to thank State Representative Gina Hinojosa. I also want to send a special shout out and thanks to 18-year-old Habiba, who you saw at the beginning of the program, and you know my interview with Habiba. Please go back and watch. Habiba is an 18-year-old girl. She's a young lady now. And apparently she has dreams of going to Harvard. She came to this country via her parents from Qatar. She has 4 siblings. She and her 4 siblings with little siblings, twin siblings who are 5 years old, along with their mother, they're all locked up in Dilly. And yes, their father apparently committed a horrendous crime. The FBI has reportedly said the kids, the mom didn't know anything about it. What are we doing to people like Habiba, to young ladies like Habiba? What are we doing to her little brothers and sisters? What are we doing to the children of Dilly? Just look at the reporting in ProPublica. I encourage everybody watching this, go look at the reporting that ProPublica has done on Dilly. Look at the photographs, look at the drawings. Look what these little kids are saying in letters. They're saying, please let me out. Please let me go. But no, Donald Trump wants to imprison little kids. He wants to imprison babies to send a message that you shouldn't come to this country if you don't look like Donald Trump. If you don't look like the Trump kids, you shouldn't be in America. That's not the America that I believe in. It's not the America I know you believe in, but it's the America that Donald Trump is turning us into. My thanks to all of you for tuning in to this special coverage we've been doing from Dilly, Texas. We're going to continue to stay on it. Just because we're doing it down here in Dilly, down here in San Antonio, down here in Texas, doesn't mean we're not going to continue to do it. We will continue to follow the story, and we'll be back with you tomorrow. But in the meantime, still reporting, this time from San Antonio, Texas, I'm JIMACOSTA. I'll see you next time.